Pooh Bear is here, everybody.
Happy birthday.
You know what's interesting? I want to get to the story behind Happy Birthday. Where did that come from?
Honestly, I was so shy, man. Like, I was the type of shy that if I come into a room, I would just go stand in the corner and put my head down, turn around. So I started saying happy birthday. I was probably 19 years old. And I used to just say it because I'm strange. And I wanted people to, like, know I'm weird immediately, right? It turned into all these different meanings, but at first, it was like me, like this icebreaker. It was like, if I could be myself and say happy birthday, then maybe that'll make the next person feel comfortable enough to be themselves and not let their representative take over. Because everybody wants people to think who they are. They introduce you to their representative. That's not who they really are. So I'm like, well, if I just shed my representative and be like, happy birthday, and people be like, oh, you're crazy. I'm like, yes, exactly, immediately. So if you're crazy, you should feel comfortable enough to be yourself immediately. And for me, it just made me feel comfortable because I was so shy that saying happy birthday was so weird and strange that everybody was like, it's not my birthday. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but, you should just act like it is. You know what I'm saying? And then it turned into every day we wake up is your birthday. And I'm like, we shouldn't wait to celebrate our birthday to feel special. Like, why we had to wait a whole year to feel like that feeling when we wake up, like it's my birthday. Like, why not feel like that when we wake up every day? That when we sleep is the closest thing to death. So it's like when we're waking up, we're literally being born again every time we wake up.
I think that's really interesting how you said when you first meet someone, it's their representative.
Yeah, nobody really likes themselves. So they introduce you to who they want you to perceive them to be, and that's their representative. So for me, I've been practicing being myself from like saying happy birthday. How do I feel? I'll be like, good morning. But like, it's not morning time. Yes, it is. It's like somewhere. So I just practice being myself and as a songwriter, expressing whatever I think, saying it, and not worrying about what people think. And that allowed me to build my character and be myself from like the time of me being shy to now I'm an introvert that knows how to be an extrovert when it's necessary. But, the first meaning of it was just me being so shy, and it was an amazing icebreaker. To this day, if you go out anywhere and you feel uncomfortable and you meet somebody, just be like, happy birthday, and see what it does, what it evolves into. For me, it's usually one person's birthday a week by way of odds. So they're like, how'd you know? And I'm like, man, you got to be careful what you think around me. You know what I'm saying? Because I might know what you're thinking. And I'm like, no, I'm just playing. I say it every day. And it's just like, I got to get one person a week, as much as I say it to everybody. So it started off as an amazing icebreaker, and it turned into like affirmation. It turned into an adjective. It turned into like, oh, that's a birthday. Or when you wake up, just being like, happy birthday. Like, I'm alive again. Like, I made it back, because some people don't wake up. So it's like, it turned into all these different meanings. And it's like, only one problem I ran into was in Ibiza with David Guetta's ex-wife. She's German, so in Germany, it's a bad omen
to say happy birthday.
If you wish somebody happy birthday and it's not their birthday, you're basically cursing them. So I didn't know it all, and I told David Guetta's wife, I'm like, hey, happy birthday. She was like, curse me? I'm like, no, I'm so sorry. That just went all bad immediately. Like, I've never gotten that response. She was like, well, just so you know, in Germany, it's a bad omen to wish somebody a happy birthday and it's not their birthday. That means you're basically wishing them bad luck. So I'm like, all right, be very careful of this one in this region in Europe or whatever, who I say happy birthday to. But that was like my only backlash that I ever got was from like somebody else from Germany.
So growing up as a shy kid, was that the only thing that you used to, I guess?
To make me comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, because it was like, he's weird. I'm like, immediately, I'm weird, and you don't have to like think I'm one way and then be like, wait a minute, he's weird. Like, I'm immediately weird from the beginning. Happy birthday. And it's like, and then once you hear that, people be like, oh, Pooh Bear? And they'd be like, happy birthday, Pooh Bear? And then they associated me with it. I didn't know that was a part of branding. I didn't know what I was doing was creating a catchphrase that people could connect my name. Like, these are things that people go to college to learn how to brand, marketing, and I'm just doing it because it made me feel comfortable. And then people turned into, now if I don't say it, they're like, yo, he didn't tell me happy birthday. And now it's like a thing where people expect me to say it. Yeah, and it's like, now I got to say it even when I don't want to say it because people look at it like, well, he didn't tell me happy birthday. What did I do? I'm like, so it's just all these different evolutions of birthday, but it came from me being an introvert and being the most amazing icebreaker. And I want the whole world to say happy birthday every day. Like, that's
Absolutely.
my goal.
Live your life like it's your birthday.
Every day, man. Like, you never know when it's, when you're not going to wake up.
You know what's interesting? The fact that you were able to, as a shy person, to, I guess, come up with that in your head and be comfortable with doing it.
Yeah, that's because most people care about what people think of them. So for me, it's like, if I come out the back not caring about what you think of me.
Did you always not care what people thought?
No, I always thought about what people cared about me. That's why I was so shy. Because I was like, I'm too dark, I'm too fat, all these things that, you get picked on in elementary, those things stick with you. And it's like, wow, for that reason, I'm just going to go stand in the corner and put my head down. But then
Which actually, when you think about it, because I feel like I was shy like that too. I would stand in corners. That makes you stand out more.
When everybody's chilling together and
you're just in a corner,
you isolate yourself.
Right.
It's literally the opposite effect. But for me, it was like put my head down, be in the corner, and like somebody talk to me, like don't talk to me, don't look at me. But it was just this weird mode. And then Happy Birthday just broke the ice, man, and allowed me to be myself. And then from there, it was like good morning. It was Mazel Tov. It was like all these things that I had tatted on me that became things when people saw me or they met me. I'm like, good morning, no matter what time of the day it is. I'm like, oh, good morning, man, happy birthday. And they're like, it just throws you off because you're just not expecting it. And it just sets you off, like it throws you off a little bit. And it's like, wait a minute, it's not my birthday and it's not the morning time. Let's get this together. Like, who are you and why are you so insane? I'm like, perfect. I want people to understand that I'm a little crazy immediately. And if you're crazy, feel comfortable with being yourself around me. I just want you to not care about what people think. And we're so programmed to care about what everybody thinks.
I wonder why is that the case with us, though?
It's just self-esteem. It all boils to self-esteem. Yeah.
I feel like you can be the most confident person in the room, right?
Yep.
And still will care about like
what somebody thinks about somebody.
Right.
Yeah. It's a level of insaneness that you have to get to where you just don't care and you have and you don't have a filter. Or you have a filter, but you just learn how to like still be yourself within that filter. It's definitely it's interesting, man. I definitely feel like, how you grow up and how much attention you get and all that plays a role. And I never really got a lot of attention. So I always just felt like I wasn't really worthy. I always felt like I'm not supposed to be in the rooms that I was in. So that played a lot in self-esteem.
So you say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to you right now.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Just not having a backup plan.
Really?
Yeah, just not like writing songs, coming from being homeless with my mom, living in gym, living in abandoned schools, living, in train station, wherever we could live, and then moving to Atlanta. And just all these kids were coming out ABC and being inspired by kids, and I'm like, oh, I want to be in the music business and write songs. And then, starting in the studio at age, signing my first record deal when I was 12, got ripped off. But getting all that whack music out of my system and people being brutally honest with me, like, yo, that sucks. I'm like, okay, great.
Does that crush you though?
It's pressure. It makes diamonds.
I get that, but when you were like this young person,
it crushed me. I remember the people who told me I suck to this day, because I see them now, and I'm in a different place than they are. So it's like I remember those people.
But do you hold it against them?
No, because I did suck. They were being honest with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people that just tell you what you want to hear. Those are the people that hold you back because you're not able to grow. Because you like all the people, like even to this day, when somebody that doesn't know me, they're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm an up and coming songwriter." I don't, I feel like I'm still up and coming. I never want to feel like I made it. I never want to feel like I did it, because I always want to grow. I always want to get better, and I always want to keep expanding. So
it's the drive.
It's a drive, yeah. So that's why to answer that question is like to get here is like me writing, in a bad year I'll write. Back then I was writing 800 songs a year. Now I do 600 songs a year. You know what I'm saying? On a slow writing when I want to write, I'll do 600 songs a year. That's like, and out of those 600 songs, maybe 60 might come out. out of 600.
Let me.
Like-
you have some of my favorite songs.
Oh man.
Oh, girl,
Thank you.
I need it. Peaches and
Oh,
cream.
yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta have it. It's
Yeah.
always on my mind.
Yeah. Know what I mean? Yeah.
Peaches and cream.
Yep.
You were mentioned earlier that you were carrying bags for 112.
Yeah, so that opportunity came after I didn't graduate.
Mhm.
And it was like either you go to summer school, or my cousin who discovered 112, Bear, put me with 112 when I was in high school. He was like, yo, there's opportunity where you could carry bags and just be like an assistant. And
Were you like a roadie?
I was a roadie and
Mhm.
make some money traveling. You get to see the world for free, go to Europe. And I was like, Mom, you want me to go to summer school or go on tour? She was like, no. She was like, go on tour. And on that tour, that's when I did a lot of records. Dance With Me. I did Peaches and Cream. I did a lot of records. If I didn't go on that tour, I'm not sure where I would be. Like, I'm not sure where my musical. I had my, Anywhere was my first hit when I was 17. But then all my other 112 stuff came from going on tour, carrying bags, and going in the studio after I got through hanging up everybody's clothes and putting everybody's stuff away.
You have to be so grateful that Mama saw the vision.
Oh, man, that's what it was. She used to drop me off, and she used to take me to the studio every day. And my grandma, she used to, like, I used to tell my grandma, because once we moved to Atlanta, we still struggled. We lived eight of us in a 2-bedroom apartment. And I used to remember going to the studio telling my grandma, like, I'm going to move you out of here into a house. And she would look at me like, bless your heart. Like, you don't know, like, this is how it's going to be. Like, we're Black.
Mm-hmm.
It's how it is for us. And I would see that, and I'm like, so it was a blessing when, being 17, writing my first, co-writing my first hit record. And then when I turned 19 and did Peaches and Cream, I was able to make some real money. And I moved my grandmother and my mom into a house on the 10th hole of a golf course on the lake. And for her to be alive to see, like, me going to the studio every day for years and years, and me telling her, like, look, Mom, it's gonna pay off. I'm gonna move us out of this apartment. And then she lived long enough to see and live on a golf course in the lake. I was like, great. That's all. I just wanted you to see that all that time wasn't in vain. Like, me going to the studio every day, it wasn't in vain. And I used to feel like she thought my dreams were too big. You know what I mean? Just because of, it's just not normal for Black people to come out of poverty. So, and I did it. And I made up my mind I was going to be the one to take care of everybody back then when I was like 12, 13. My dad left when I was 7. I was like, cool, I got to make money somehow. Then the tornado came a week later after my dad left, and then we were homeless. And thank God the church raised like $4,000 in an offering, gave it to my mom, and we moved to Atlanta and struggled in Atlanta. But it was the new South. It was like the New York of the South at the time.
Absolutely.
So I was so inspired by ABC and Chris Cross, all these kid groups. I'm like, yo, I'm 11, I could do it. So that got me going, and I just never stopped. I never looked back. And my cousin put me with 112, and that helped me out a lot because when I didn't believe in myself, they were like, yo, you can sing. And I'm like, I suck. Why are they telling me this? But it inspired me enough to keep going and, to create records, like Peaches and Cream and Dance With Me. And I think I did like 10 songs on part 3. That was cool.
I tell you what, Atlanta was, because I used to work for Keith Sweat, right?
Wow.
And he moved to Atlanta. I remember because he from Harlem, moved to Atlanta in like the 90s. And that's when everything was like popping off, right?
Bro, his road managers gave us, when I was 11, I was signed to Lonnie Ferguson and Louise Ferguson, and they were Keith Sweat's road manager. I slept in Keith Sweat's house in Alpharetta before he did. Like, he was working, and then they were like, come stay over the house. And it was like, Keith Sweat's on tour. He hasn't even lived in here yet. I'll never forget that. And I ended up, meeting Keith Sweat. That's crazy that you would say that. But I was 11, I was 12 years old. And just watching him.
That man was putting up, we would sit and talk about, like, he was putting up numbers for Elektra.
Yeah,
numbers.
Then Bobby Brown came. You know what I'm saying? But Keith Sweat. Yeah, but Keith ran it. Ran it. Then Babyface ran, you know what I'm saying? So,
brothers, the amount of stories.
I know.
But back to your mom and your grandmother, right?
Yeah.
So the feeling that you had when you were able to buy them that house on the golf course.
Yeah.
Please describe that to me.
For me, it was just a dream come true. It was something that I literally was only working for. Like, I wasn't working to buy a car. I didn't buy a car. I wasn't working to buy myself a house. I literally was working to buy my mom and my grandmother a place. So when I did that, it was like, okay, what am I gonna use to inspire me now? Because all my years were like, I gotta get my grandma out of here. I got my mom, and I did that, and it was like the most fulfilling, feeling I felt to date at that point. And then to me, it was like, well, they need a bigger house. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is the first house. And then for me, it was like, now that I got my mom a house, I bought myself a house. You know what I mean? And then it was like, I should probably get a driver's license now. I'm 21 years old. Let me try to get a car. But yeah, it was just a really satisfying feeling getting my mom and my grandma out of that 2-bedroom apartment. And it was just to see my grandma. She passed away in that house, so it was just a blessing that she got to see that all my work was real. It wasn't in vain.
I love that.
Yeah.
Was it hard to get her out? Because you know how Black grandmamas are.
Yeah.
It is so hard to get them out of their routine and move them into a new house.
She was excited. I mean? Yeah, she had, and on top of getting her a new house with my mom, I never put her in a nursing home. I got her a nurse. It cost me, back then that one nurse, it was like $5,000 a month. You know what I mean? But I'm like, there's no way I'm putting my grandmother in a nursing home.
You want her to enjoy that house that you got her on that golf course.
Yeah, and Mama, I don't even care how long she has to live, but she's not going to a nursing home, so they could abuse her in there. So I got her a nurse, and she lived in the house, and she passed away in the house on the lake. So that was good. I'm just glad for her to be able to experience that.
Do you ever sit back, and I know you mentioned that you are an up-and-coming, you tell people you're an up-and-coming
I am.
songwriter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you ever sit back and think to yourself, like, I cannot believe that we did this. I cannot believe that I wrote this song. I can't believe we have this hit. I can't believe this. Like when you're laying around. It's
weird, man.
Never?
It's weird because I'm so in it. Like, I'm so deep in it that.
But like when you are about to lay down and go to sleep, right?
Yeah.
And you have those thoughts.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Like, sometimes when I come home late at night from the studio in Miami, I'll look around and I'll be like, wow, like, I'm mind blown. But then I just try not to get caught up in it because I know that it's just a part of my journey, But as far as like where I live, the plaques, like every now and then I'll find myself pinching myself like, I can't believe I live here and I've done all these songs that nobody could take away from me. Like, and everybody told me I sucked, and everybody told me, so negative, which only pushed me harder, But every now and then I will look at home, but when everybody sleep, because I get home, last, and I'm up first, and I'll just look around and just be like, I can't believe I live here. I can't believe this is life, and it is. It's fascinating. I'm deep in it, but every now and then I will step outside of it and look at it and be like, whoa, this has to look crazy from people looking at me because I'm so in it. I don't look at him. I don't look at myself the way other people perceive of me. So every blue moon I do, I really, and I'm forever grateful and I'm forever appreciative. It's just every blue moon I'll literally have an outer body experience where I'm like looking around like, I can't believe I live here. I'm the only black person in this whole building. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, on top of that, the records that I've done, they changed the direction of music, and nobody can take that away from me,
Right.
Yeah. So
it's crazy because it's the one thing that will live forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
It's not even the artist, it's the song.
Yes.
I know songs to this day, I can't tell you who sings them. But yet we just got Songwriter of the Year Grammy added this in the year 2023. How weird is that? That nobody can remember the artist or the producer. They only remember the song. When everybody's old and done, they just know the song. But the Grammys just gave us a Songwriter of the Year category that's going to debut in 2023 in January.
How is that a thing?
I don't know, because even Producer of the Year, they only had that because their song was a hit. Nobody walks around humming their beats. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just great to see the growth, and we've always been, I don't know. The writers are just treated the worst, man.
Mhm.
Like it's like, okay, well, what
That's
can you
okay.
do without the
Mailbox
song?
money though.
What can you do without the song?
Right.
Nobody has a job without the song. Nobody. Like the artist, radio, streaming, nothing can go without the most important part, which is the song, and it make us feel like we're the least important part. We just had to fight for a category called Songwriter of the Year. You think, what about all the other 60 Grammy, all the other writers that have changed the direction of music? They'll never be acknowledged now?
Bruh, the songwriters, like how you said, if wasn't the songwriters, there would be no Grammys.
It would be nothing.
Right.
It would be no videos. It would be no producer of the year. It would be nothing. Everything revolves around a song and then frequency, melodies. So it's just cool to see the growth. It's cool, like, to be an underdog. I feel like I'm an underdog. I feel like songwriters in general we're all underdogs. And one day, maybe we'll all get together and just be like, you know what, we're not writing anymore. Good luck. Let you guys figure it out. Not even like just the artist or
Would
whoever,
suck
the
for
label.
us, but
Well, I
right.
know, but it's just like, how do we ever get appreciated? Remember back when producers were like the stars in the 90s?
Yes.
Before that, it was engineers.
Was it?
Yeah, because a producer, because before technology got so advanced, they would be like, here's a kick, a snare, these guitar chords in the song. Can you make it sound like a hit? And they didn't, because they didn't have the technology to do it on their own, and everything would be on the engineer. So back in the 80s and 90s, you have engineers that were getting 2 producer points, $15,000 a song to mix, but they literally it would be life or death based on them. Like if they took your idea and they made it pretty into this song, it's like, whoa, I didn't even know it was that good. I thought it was just okay. Now, it's been a producer driven era, and then it's kind of songwriters have never kind of been like the stars.
Is that why producers in like the 90s, early 2000s were so
Superstars.
right?
Superstars.
Like Just Blaze,
Pharrell, Just
right,
Blaze, Swiss Beats,
right.
Scott Storch,
Timbaland.
They were bigger than the artists,
Absolutely.
But
That's and what's funny is how you be like, oh, that's a Timbaland beat. Or not
even the artist.
Right.
Like, oh, that's a Timbaland beat.
The 3 starts in the front of the song. That's a Neptune's beat.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how that like took on a life of its own.
It was like it turned into, we don't care about the artist. Who's he working with? Oh, Usher, he's in with Pharrell. Oh shit, let's check that out because Pharrell's a star, and you know what I'm saying. So it was ultimately, and what artists plugged into those super producers that had where their success came from. It was weird. It was like Jermaine Dupri with My Way. Then it was like Pharrell with You Don't Have to Call. Then it was plug into who? Lil Jon. Well, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because of Freaking Leak. So
people talk about that. Well, I don't think people talk about that story. Somebody once said, I don't know if you know that, but Freak a Leak was supposed to be Yeah, and Yeah was supposed to be Freak a Leak, but nope, they switched it because P. Pablo didn't like the Yeah beat and Usher didn't like the Freak a Leak beat.
I never knew that story. That's a good one. That's a real good one to put out there. I just knew that Freak a Leak, Goodies, and Yeah is the exact same beat. So it's like, but it goes back to like, if that's working and that's your sound, that's a producer, it's just running it in until people are like, I don't want to hear that anymore, So that all those like it was always 3 notes. It was always that sound, and it was just fascinating that 3 hit songs were written off that same beat. To me.
You know what's crazy? How, and I also feel like, I guess we as society and listeners go through these producers so quickly.
Microwave. Yeah. And that's why the average lifespan of a songwriter producer is 2 years. Because they'll typically make 1 or 2 hits and they'll celebrate. But then there's somebody like me that's never celebrating, and I'm just writing and producing. And you'll look up and you put out your 2 songs, then now I got 10 coming out on this project. And that 10 is gonna hold me for a year and a half. But while I'm in that year and a half, while you still celebrating over those old 2 hits, I'm writing new hits. I'm never celebrating. I'm not celebrating because that's the time that people outwork you. When you celebrate and be complacent, and it's like, what are you celebrating? That's almost over. It's only going to be on the radio for a couple more months. Then what? That's cool. You're only as good as your last hit. So it's like, I never celebrated.
But do you ever enjoy the thing? Like,
live in the moment?
Yeah.
It's tough. I live in the future.
I get that. But that also causes anxiety.
It causes anxiety. You know you need therapy for that. Even though I won't go to a therapist, but yeah, I have close friends that are like, Pooh Bear, you ever, like you just said, do you ever just look at where you are and now? And for me, it's like when I do that, I don't want to get caught up in myself.
But you are enjoying.
It's reflecting on the now.
You are appreciative.
I know.
And it goes
but how
back
long? I'll do that, but then I'm back to work. I'm back in the future. I need to do what's next. Like
Absolutely.
I'm here to push everything forward.
Absolutely. But
I can't get stuck and be like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. Oh, like
but
cool.
listen, what I'm saying
next.
is that look at what it represents. It represents that you were able to take mom and grandmom and put them on a house on a golf course. Yeah. Not necessarily like we are celebrating what happened or what we did. We're celebrating
that was my success. That was a success for me.
Right.
Everybody's success is different. Is measured differently. So that was definitely. I didn't even know what I wanted after that. It was so crazy. I got my mom in the house and my grandma was like, oh, all right, I'm still working, but oh yeah, me. I need to buy myself a house, so I understand. And I try not to live in the future, but if I'm here on earth to push everything forward, how do I not live in the future?
True.
If I'm supposed to push music, what's the next Sonics? What's the next Water? What's the next tech play? Like all these things I feel like I'm here to be like, here's what's next.
Mm-hmm.
So
did you ever hear I'm proud of you from them?
Nah, not from my grandmother. My mom, she was really negative. She used to always be negative. So it was like, even I ended up getting her 3 houses. And, it was more, it was a program. She was just programmed to be negative. So.
I mean, look what life threw at her.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it was like, I always worked hard to try to get her approval. Like, I want her to be like, yes, I'm proud of you. I didn't really hear that much. She would tell me, but it would be like, even if you didn't do everything that you've done, I would still be proud of you. And I'm just like, why would you be proud of me then if I didn't do everything that I've done? That means that
you're her child.
Because I'm her child. And I got that part. And I'm just like, that's great, but I want to be made proud of. I want to be somebody proud of because of where I've come and what I've done, But I get it. And my mom, it was always different. So when you asked that question, she said it, but it was like always with, even if you didn't do what you've done, I would still be proud of you. So it was kind of like, but I want you to be proud of what I've done. So you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It was like, I never really got that because it was always canceled out with, even if you didn't do what you've done. I'm like, but what about what I've done?
I see what she's trying to like.
She just want me like, whether I was successful or not, I will be proud of you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I don't know about that. It sounds good. I just think it sounds good.
Yeah.
But there's other people that aren't successful. But was she proud? Were they be made proud of? No. You know what I'm saying? It just sounds good because that's what you're supposed to say. And I'm just a realist. So then I knew that with my mom. It was like, I love you, Mom. But it would be cooler if you was just like, wow, I can't believe you bought a jet. I can't believe, you bought me this. Like, I live on 16 acres on a lake now. Like, to me, I definitely would have, wanted to hear that more. But once again,
her action said it all, too.
Her action said it all.
The fact that she let you go and do your thing.
Yeah, she was like, nah, you got to go on tour and carry bags. Like, you don't know, a good opportunity could come from this. So I appreciate her. I love her. Rest in peace. She's not here with us anymore, but I love her. And I definitely worked hard for her approval. That was like my whole thing was like, I wanted to be approved. And she was super Christian. So I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music when I was a kid.
The secular songs. Was she mad at Peaches and Cream?
Yes, but she didn't know till later that it was perverted. You know what I'm saying? Like or anywhere.
We all found out later.
Later. When they got nominated when the kids made it a Kids Bop, I was like, oh, this is going over everybody's heads. This is the craziest double entendre ever.
But you know what it is? I think people thought Atlanta, Peaches, Georgia.
Yeah, food.
Right.
Yeah, Georgia
right.
Peach.
Right.
Right. But it was very clear in the bridge, like,
oh, girl, I need it. I gotta have it. It's always on my mind.
That was the vamp. Oh. So that was the end, like, just in case you didn't like this hook, we got another hook. That was back in the day where you needed 2 hooks. Like, well, can you do another hook that counters that hook? I'm like, you want me to do a counter hook? that's on another time as the main hook. All right, great. That was back in that day when you had to write 2 hooks.
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
The fact that songs aren't even long enough
To even
right
have a
now.
vamp.
Right.
Because people's level of attention is gone.
But I love a good, like, you know, like
a
we
good
play
counter hook, another hook at the end, like, oh.
Like, we play Beyonce Cuff It now.
Okay.
And I feel like that is the like I just miss hearing
mind you, she never let go of that style of writing.
Right.
So you'll hear bridges, you'll hear everything that people will lack. Beyonce is still in full 1990s song format road, and you'll hear the vamp hook like, yo, that's a whole nother chorus.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that I was in the studio and I was listening to it and I was like, this is like one of those throwback songs because
like a real
first
song.
of all, like Break My Soul, for example, it was I want to say maybe it's 4 minutes, almost 4 minutes long.
Right.
And we don't even get that right now.
No.
Cuff It is like 3 minutes, maybe 3:41.
Yeah, no.
And it's like
it's too long. All these records by way of music industry
it
standard
just feels
now
so
is like
good, though, but
people
you
are on
forget.
to the next. Yeah, you forget, man. I think everything's a cycle, so it's always great like artists like Beyonce that sticks to her gun. She still stacks. You know what I'm saying? She's still making her hooks like big. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it's like I haven't stacked in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like if the melody and the song and the concept is strong enough, I don't need to stack. You look at the biggest hits, I Will Always Love You by Whitney. You look at the biggest hits, they didn't have stacks because the melody was strong enough and the concept was strong enough. Now people stack because it's like some music industry, really it's lacking. So they feel like if they stack it, it'll sound more like a radio hit. I'm like, no, it's just bigger. It's just thicker, but it's still wrong. So my thing, it's great that Beyonce just sticks to her formula, her format, and the way, because everything does go on cycle. So there will be a time where people will be like, yo, where's the bridge?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Even though nobody even knows what a bridge is or a middle eight in London.
I think people know.
They know, but they don't know how to identify it to be like, yo, what happened to that part where it was like a whole nother part and the music will change? People are not that educated to be able to, like, they can't say it. Like, they can't verbalize it, what they're missing. But it's cool that Beyonce still does it. It's the handful of people who still write that stuff. For me, I like to do what's digestible.
Pooh Bear, I'm sitting here scratching my head. I'm trying to. What was the first bridge in Peaches and Cream?
The bridge was won't like the tasting in the morning when I'm waking up. That's the bridge.
Yeah.
Got your legs around my neck and I can't be like, okay, guys,
See your
I'm
boys
literally
watch
saying
my way from
verbatim.
the A.
Got your legs around my neck and I can't get up. Kids Bop, you still singing this?
Because when it comes to eating peaches, shorty, we don't play. Yeah,
so
yeah.
the ladies in the house, if your peaches the shit, put your hands in the air, represent your clit. Get it? Represent your clit. Get it? That went over everybody's head. It was like, yo, I just said represent your clit, like a private part. Put your hands and throw deuces up to represent your clit, like you're gay.
Yeah.
That was a double entendre back then. It was like, Kids Bop, represent your clit. Like, no. You can't say that. You're 9. I like, but it went over everybody's head.
Right, quick. Tell me about Favorite Human.
Okay, Favorite Human. A record I did with, just writing songs for so long. I met a poet through a dear mentor, Muhammad Adid, introduced me to a poet. And I was just like, he's like, yo, listen to these poems and see if you can hear anything. And I was like, yo, these are great words. I don't even know what these words mean. Like, I'm learning right now. And it was like, he was like, would you work with him? I was like, sure. And he flew me to Paris. And I did like 10 records with him in like 3 days, 10 songs. And from there, it was.
I see why you got to live in the future.
I got to live in the future. So
10 songs in 3 days.
Yes, exactly. So we went through those. And then Favorite Human actually, was one of those records. And it came from a poem. So the book of Nabil is my brother who was a poet. And he hated that I wanted to use the name, the Book of Nabil. But I'm like, yo, these are poems that came from you, Nabil. Mm-hmm. So if it's the Book of Nabil, it's still like I created choruses, I put melodies and everything, but still it's a Book of Nabil. Favorite Human came from that book. And for me, it was like, I looked at it like something for like my kids and my family, like my favorite human. It was like most people make love music, and this love music is different. It's not really geared to like a significant other more so than it is
your appreciation.
My kids. Yes, like my favorite human. You have people who are homies like, yo, that's my favorite human. You know what I mean? So it was, for me, it spread across really, like a lot of genres. It spread across. I'm like, yo, everybody has a favorite human or a favorite pet or a favorite something. And then melodically and then sonically, it was, it's tropical. I can't say it's Nigerian. I can't even really classify what the beat is. There's no specific drum pattern that says, oh, that's reggaeton or that's Nigerian, that's Afrobeat, or this is, whatever. It was new. And for me, I'm all about new and being inspired, man, and doing what's next. Like I really feel like I'm here to do what's next. So Favorite Human, I feel like is
it's next.
And it doesn't sound like, you can't compare it to anything. You can't be like, oh, this reminds me of. That's the greatest part of me not listening to music. Me being forced to listen to trumpet Christian music as a kid, I wasn't influenced by anybody. So when you hear Anywhere, when you hear Peaches and Cream, you can't be like, oh, Peaches and Cream got a hint of Super Freak from
no.
Jane. You know what I'm saying? So none of my, you can do that with all my music.
And you can dance with
Dance
me.
with me
right.
sounds like nothing. Yeah. Where are you now? Caught Up from Us, Superstar, She Ain't You. None of those records melodically, conceptually, I have no influence. I'm not pulling from anywhere. I'm pulling from me.
You?
Yeah, I did She Ain't You.
Was that hard to get that beat?
I'm gonna tell you this story really fast. I went to New York. They hired me to work with Just Blaze, to work with Chris Brown. We're waiting on beats from Just Blaze.
Because I'm assuming the Jackson Estate wants.
No, in the midst of that, mind you, I don't write over samples. Okay. I don't write over a beat with a sample because I'm a songwriter and it's gonna eat up my publishing. That's how I live and take care of my life. So Chris Brown, we're waiting on Just Blaze beats. He throws on She Ain't You beat, right? And I'm like, he's like, hey, Pooh Bear, the mic's right there. Why don't you go in the booth? And this was back when I was still going in the booth. Why don't you go in the booth and try to see if you hear anything? And I'm like, I wouldn't hear anything today. This is Michael Jackson and SWV, bro. This is double publisher. He's like, nah, it's just a throwaway. He's like, this is just to kill time. So I went in. I was like, I want to let her go. And I started doing the hook, you know what I mean? And then start singing. I was like literally doing the back, like Oz and all that. And then I started doing the verses, freestyling verses. Did that record in like 35 minutes. Came out, right? Chris was like, yo, I want to cut that. He goes in. I'm like, this is getting deep because I was just playing. Because I would never write over a song that comes from another person's hit.
Human Nature.
And
right here. 2 massive hits, right? And
so we cussed the record. We're done with the whole record in an hour and a half. I'm just like, well, that was a waste of time because that's never coming out under my watch. But the Just Blaze records that we cut never came out. The only song that made from that whole trip, the only song I made on that album was She Ain't You, was the throwaway song. And it became the single.
Yes!
And it was the record that won him his Grammy for Best R&B Album that he told me. He was like, Pooh Bear, you wrote the song that won me my only Grammy.
Listen.
And I'm like, bro, that was not on purpose. And then I'm going to tell you how, because I started off with 30%. When I sat next to the people that we got the award for at ASCAP, all the other people who did Human Nature for Michael and SWV.
Was it Teddy Riley?
Nah.
It wasn't?
No, for Human Nature?
Yes.
Hell no. He wished he did Human Nature.
Somebody told me that.
No, it was a guy who was sitting next to me, and his wife was like, could you please write more songs with my husband? I was like, I didn't do that on purpose. That was an accidental hit. But it was like, this changed his life again. And I'm like, I'm sure he's like 65. I'm like, it's just cool to be able to make all new money off of a song that you did.
Absolutely.
So I went from 30% to 1%. I had 1% on She Ain't You. After I wrote what I did, I ended up with 1%. And I was like, that just is why I don't.
You don't do it.
No. And it was like, I did it wasting time for Just Blaze beats. And it ended up being the only song I made on the album.
Can you please come back?
Absolutely. Please.
I feel like I can talk to you for hours.
Oh, yeah, man.
We are at 40 minutes right now.
That was fast, 40 minutes.
Wow. Love all your stories.
Thank you, man.
I am so proud of you. The fact that you were able to do that. Because I feel like it is such a big deal in the community to be able to do that. And the fact that you were able to do that, that is so dope. Atlanta in the 90s was popping.
Atlanta in the 90s was popping, bro. BMF, bro. Come on, man. It was popping in Atlanta. A-Chains, the nightclub times. We used to have Freaknik.
Oh, yeah, that's
Nobody
right.
even knows what that is. That's like, what is that? And the kids, and they used to let us out of middle school.
It back?
They tried, and they sued. 21 Savage tried to do a Freaknik birthday party last year, and then the originators of Freaknik, of course, got beside themselves and they sued them. I'm like, nobody even cares. No one even knows what that was. And it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was based on everybody raping each other. It was like, and they let us out of middle school early for Freaknik. I'm
Do
like,
some junk like that.
yeah.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Happy birthday. Thank you for having me.
Happy birthday.
Booking the Bill, Favorite Human is out. The album's out Thursday night. Happy birthday.